Shelley Winter Show, live, local, topical, and irrelevant. So when I was doing show prep today, I came across the story of the student loan. One of the headlines in the U.S. News: and student loan debt will be forgiven for millions of borrowers under new Trump administration agreement. So I'm reading the story, and I come across the people in the story who were doing, I guess, representing the American Federation of Teachers against the Department of Education. They're a company called Protect Borrowers, a nonprofit, I believe. And I sent out an email, and Mike Pierce responded back, and he's on the phone with me right now. Thank you for calling back, Mike, and thank you for joining the Shelley Winter Show.
Thanks so much for having me.
So correct me if I'm wrong, you guys represented the American Federation of Teachers?
Yes, we were their lawyers in this case.
You're lawyers in this case. Now tell us about the case. Where were we before, and why are we here now?
We sued the Trump administration back in March on behalf of AFT because they had put some barriers in place to people accessing affordable student loan payments, and they had stopped canceling debt for people who had been in debt for decades and had a right to debt relief under existing federal law.
Now, what's the existing federal law? What's the existing federal law?
So this is not the Biden loan forgiveness plan. This is something different. The Higher Education Act says that if you've been making payments on your student loans for 20 or 25 years, depending on your situation, you have a right to have your debt canceled. That's been on the books since the early 90s. And the Trump administration just shut it down at the beginning of the year. And there was some finger pointing between them and the private companies they hire to handle student loans. And we sued on behalf of AFT to get it stood back up. And as of last week, they've started canceling debt again.
So let me ask you this. So this is crazy to me. Think about what you just said, right? And I just want everybody to hear what you just said, because we say it so easily, and we as receivers of information receive it so easily. But you said anybody paying off their student debt for 20 or more years every month regularly has their debt relieved. How can anybody possibly owe that much money to where they're paying for 20 years straight?
So the student loan system is broken.
That's what I'm trying to get to. Go ahead, my friend.
So unlike a mortgage or a car loan, you can make payments every month, and your debt can get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Absolutely.
And that's pretty common. There are millions of people. About a couple years ago, the government released some data. There were about 4 million people who had been in debt for 20 years or longer.
That's crazy. For an education. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's money that you borrowed from your own government. So essentially, when you borrowed that money, it was the tax dollars of your parents that were paying taxes. You borrowed your own money, and your government is making you pay it back with interest. And they're selling the loan to multiple different companies, which attach interest on those loans every single day. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, it is. The system has been broken for as long as I've been representing student loan borrowers, and it's not getting any better because these same private companies are writing the rules for the terms of their contracts with the government, and they're chasing people down for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely. And now these companies in some cases are the fourth and fifth or sixth and seventh company that has owned your loan. People don't even know that part.
That's right.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We talk to borrowers every day who can't get documents that show what they owe because some company somewhere along the way has lost their paperwork.
Right, exactly right. And if they call you up to say we need to collect and you ask them for your information, they can't give it to you because they themselves don't have it.
That's right.
It's the sickest thing in the world. And what's so sick about it, as a conservative, I consistently watch my side jump up and down and scream that you should get no relief because they don't understand that you're not getting relief from something you borrowed 50 years ago. You're getting relief from the onerous interest and the fraud that these companies are doing to people. It's just crazy, man. So what happens now, Mike?
So the government's going to start canceling these loans for people that have been in debt for decades, but that's not the end of our case. So we are still in federal court, and a judge is going to watch this process now. And the government's going to have to file reports with the court every month talking about how much debt they're canceling, and we're going to see if they put their money where their mouth is.
And do you think this will extend to a larger group of people? Do you think we'll ever get to that point where people who have paid back a lot of money over the years, but, like what we just talked about, they will get some relief at some point?
I think so. And it's important to remember that Donald Trump was the one who shut the student loan system off for everybody at the beginning of the pandemic. He's got a mixed record on this stuff and has really stood with borrowers when it's counted. And so I think we don't rule anything out here.
So say that again. Say that again, please, for me, again, for my conservative audience. Say that again.
At the start of the pandemic, back in March of 2020, Donald Trump shut the student loan system off.
Meaning you don't have to pay.
Meaning nobody had to pay, and the government stopped charging people interest.
And then?
And then Joe Biden kept it off for a while and then tried to cancel student debt, and the Supreme Court got in the way and then turned it back on. And now this Trump administration is trying to garnish people's wages. They're trying to take their Social Security checks. They're trying to seize their tax refunds. And that's because there are billionaires in the cabinet in this administration that don't have working people's best interests at heart. I don't know that that comes from the president, but certainly Linda McMahon is trying to collect every penny.
And what's her interest in collecting every penny?
She doesn't believe the government should help people that are struggling.
You think it's that easy, or do you think it's because there are people that have company or vested interest in collecting that money back from people? Do you think?
I think it's both.
Okay.
I think for sure it's both. And Politico, the DC newsletter, published a story a couple weeks ago saying that Linda McMahon was trying to find buyers to buy more of these student loans from the government's books and collect on them privately. I do think you're right. You should follow the money here.
Absolutely. I think we should always follow the money. And I really do think the problem with, I'm a conservative. I voted for Trump, in 16, 20, 24, right? And I don't regret that vote. But the problem with my side when it comes to this particular issue of student loans, many of them don't know what the situation and what the scam is. They don't. And they only hear from pundits on the right, my radio brothers and stuff like that on the right, who just tell them, oh, it's unfair. They're stealing your tax dollars to help your neighbor. But they don't tell them that your tax dollars were stolen a long time ago by a big corporation when they first stole the loan, when the people were paying it back. And then now it's scattered all around the place and they just keep stealing. And the thing is, the person complaining about their tax dollar doesn't realize the tax dollar is not going to help them. It's going to someone's pocket.
That's absolutely right.
And that's what we need. That's what I try and get across to my conservative listeners, is that you guys are fighting for something that doesn't benefit you, and it certainly doesn't benefit your neighbor who needs the student loan relief. It only benefits someone that's already well off, very well off.
Well, I would encourage your listeners to check us out, too, at protectborrowers.org and learn more about the fights that we're in against big banks and big financial companies to stand up for people that are getting cheated. I don't think this is a liberal or conservative issue.
Absolutely
this is just about who has power.
Exactly right. It's not liberal. It's not Republican versus Democrat. It's none of those things. It's not Trump, anti-Trump. It's neighbor and neighbor. Give that website again.
Protectborrowers.org.
Protectborrowers.org. And your name is Mike Pierce. Ladies and gentlemen, go to protectborrowers.org. Mike, before we let you go, 1 minute elevator speech about what happened today. Is it good or is it bad, or is there more work to be done?
It's a good sign. It shows that the government's willing to listen when people band together and ask for help. It also shows the stakes of the moment that we're living in right now. The government's also giving Argentina a bailout of $20 billion while they're trying to collect dollars from seniors that have been stuck in student debt for decades. We need more debt relief and we need fewer bailouts.
My man, have a wonderful day. God bless you, Mike. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate you. Yep, he said it. Now you can call me, you're a turncoat, Shelley. You're a liberal, Shelley. You're a socialist, Shelley. You call me all the names you want to. I just know that the student loan system in our country is the biggest ripoff. And for people to be so against their neighbor getting some relief by screaming, it's my tax dollar. It's the craziest thing to me, because you don't recognize that your tax dollar that you want to be repaid doesn't even go back to you. It doesn't go back to you. You're not getting help from it. I can understand if people paid their student loans, and that went into the coffers, and that coffers went back out to you and say farm subsidies or help with your business, small business tax write-offs or something like that. But it doesn't. It goes into the pockets of people that own the companies that own the loans that they bought from the government. Imagine that. You're a student, 18, 19 years old, and your family's short on cash. You can't stay. And you take out a student loan from the government. You're a government. That's your family's tax dollars. That's your neighbor's tax dollars. That's your tax dollars if you've been working for any period of time leading up to college. You take out the loan. You get out of college. You pay a couple $100s a month back. But each day it accrues interest. And every month you're paying. But the loan is growing. The loan is growing. The loan was from your own government. Why is your government charging you interest? That's the first question every conservative needs to ask themselves. If I'm a small government conservative, ask yourself, hey, why are you lending money, my tax dollars, to my neighbor whose son needs to go to college, who needs it to go to college? Why are you lending him that money and then charging interest on it? Then the next question any conservative should ask themselves is, who's collecting the interest? Is it the government, me, or or a business owner? Those are the two questions every conservative should ask before they jump up and down screaming about student loan debt relief. It's not socialism. It's just fairness for your neighbor that looks just like you, that has kids in college just like you, who has a home just like you. 404-872-0750. 1-800-WSB Talk.